Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the eKarting News podcast, our debrief podcast. This is episode number 10. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole. A ton happening in the sport, and David and I will go through our regular components of our podcasts. Again, episode number 10. We're sitting here right at the end of October. And big welcome to every one of you listening here to the podcast. Remember, you can get it now on iTunes as well. All you have to do is search EKN Radio Network on iTunes to be able to subscribe to the podcast and get everything you need. We'll also be starting up our EKN Radio Network on the website very soon, probably sometime in November. We'll get that thing rocking and rolling into December as well. So lots of opportunities to get the audio component of eKartingNews.com. Let's start by bringing in David Cole. Dave, from the Grand Rapids office, how are things down in Michigan?
They're getting chilly.
Summer's gone. Let's put it that way. Fall did not make much of an appearance.
We had some great weather. It was nice and warm. I was actually wearing shorts Saturday and Sunday, and then the cold front came through, and now we had 2 days of complete rain, and I barely have enough temperature to go outside and spray paint the Halloween costume. So.
That's right. So should we ask what the Halloween costumes for the kids are this year?
Aiden's going with a Jets theme for the third straight year.
Wow, what a shocker that is.
It's not much of a shock. He does not jump out of his comfort box, shall we say.
Just like his dad.
Hamburgers and pizza.
Yeah, right there. That's it. Good times.
And so I'm working on that one because it's always a project. Yeah. Ayla, we got to do Little Red Riding Hood. So Dad will be the big bad wolf, and Mom will be a Jets cheerleader.
I like that. I can't wait to see the pics.
Yeah, it's not that kind of cheerleader.
What? What about the party afterwards?
It's going to be 40 degrees and rainy probably on Halloween, so there's none of that.
That's true. Folks, this edition of the EKN Debrief podcast brought to you by CRG Nordam. Big thanks to good folks from CRG Nordam for, of course, being a big supporter of eKartingNews.com. We're looking forward to seeing what will be a massively huge tent for them at the Super Nationals in just under a month's time. Talking to you and Jeffrey, they got a huge packed tent. I was going to ask him, hey, who do you got come over from the factory? And his line was essentially just everybody. The tent's so big, everybody from the factory's coming to the Super Nats this year. It's gonna be a great one.
Well, of course, two-time world champion and one-time Super Nats winner.
Two-time, isn't he?
Right, one
He's
time.
A two-time.
Two-time.
Yeah, he won the big money last year. Right?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's correct. He won two the last year at the Rio, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Took the big money last year.
And then because he was a former winner, took the big money last year.
Correct. Let's jump into the top news section. As you guys folks know, here with our debrief, David and I look at some of the top news we've had going on throughout the last month, at least the last time since we've been here. We then move, of course, to the racing recap. David and I look at a couple events that he and I were able to attend. We move then into the Operation Grassroots, as always brought to you by Briggs Racing. And we wrap it all up with the racing calendar. Season kind of coming to an end, but still a number of races that David and I will give you the update on. Dave, let's start with top news. Of course, big weekend. Just about a weekend. Well, I guess it was a weekend and a half ago. I was the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. You were WK Manufacturers Cup, but we had a bunch of Americans, Canadians running up both the Miami World Finals and the Rock Cup International Final as well, and it's been really interesting. Some major league success for the American drivers overseas that weekend.
It was. It's something we're getting accustomed to seeing now. Before it was, Team USA was kind of looked down upon as kind of the scrubs, if you will. And now we're developing a lot of talented drivers here in the United States and Canada as well, and in other parts of North America and the rest of the Americas. But that weekend, two world titles, as we can say. We can't say world championships, so we can only say world titles because there's only one world champion. World titles earned by American drivers. Solid outing at the IME International Final. We had five USA drivers there competing in just the mini class alone, and they were the class of the field throughout the weekend. It was great to see. We had, I think it was all but one session. I think we had an American at the top of the results sheet, But when the final results were done, it was Brent Cruz who came home with the title, thanks to earning his ticket from the United States Pro Kart Series.
Yeah, the IAME International Final, of course, a major event, just absolutely packed paddock, great drivers. And you see some of the kids that were there that was real exciting to see. The Trissini, Uguchukwu, Rubio Luengo, Laroc. It was just major league event to be able to go in there and show well. And I think you mentioned the fact that in years past, I think maybe track knowledge was one of the issues. Didn't have as much time with the engines as well. Of course, I attended a number of the Rock Cup International Finals, and our drivers just didn't have a lot of time on the Rock. And they kind of had to go there, learn the racetrack, South Garda, learn the engine, learn the whole formula, and they were kind of behind the eight ball a little bit. But now that they've been running the Mini Swift for a number of years, the guys get more comfortable with it. They go to France, to Le Mans, and Brent Cruz comes away with the championship. I think it's amazing to see what he was able to get done.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with racing in big packs and big groups. Before it was very rare to see a field of 40 here in the United States. Now we're starting to see that more and more, especially at the upcoming Supernats. We're going to see that in a lot of the categories, but more and more just being able to race your way forward or stay out of trouble, don't make mistakes type deal. And I think
that's it right there, isn't it, Dave? Isn't it kind of going to these events and realizing you don't need to make a bonsai move, a low percentage move in a heat race? You know what I mean? I love the way there's a better understanding of how to find success at these races.
Well, that's a major part of it, yeah, for sure. But and like you said, getting to know the engine is another deal. The Mini actually was a water-cooled engine, which is completely opposite of what we use here, which is the air-cooled Mini Swift. So the engine factor, I think, kind of it didn't throw anybody off because not a lot of people run that engine, so it was kind of new for everybody. But either way, it was a solid because any one of those 5 drivers could have won it. Trissini was crossed the line first, but had a bumper penalty, so he was knocked back. Uguchukwu, he was there. I love saying that name. Ooh.
Hey, how about transition to the Rock Cup now, because that was Rock Cup International Final, as I mentioned, to be able to get the job done there as well in the heart of Italy. Pretty big run for Connor Zilic.
We want to talk about massive fields. That is the massive field with 162 drivers in that mini category. There were guys who didn't even make the C main. There's just so many racers now. I think. And that's one thing I think the United States has the advantage of is starting these kids out so young with the mini programs, even the micro programs that we have here. It wasn't really adapted or implemented really throughout the world. And I think we were one of the first countries to really focus, at least the industry was, focused on getting kids involved in the micro and mini categories. And it's starting to show that the United States has been producing a lot of top drivers. Diego Laroc winning the Rotax Micro title last year. Now we have Cruz at IAME and we have Zilic at Rock. And Zilic, he got there because of the whole WK program, the mid-season shootout that they had. So he won his ticket through Bridgestone to go over there. Otherwise, he might not even have been there. He might have been racing at GoPro that weekend with it being just down the road from his house.
True enough. Luca Mar's on the podium as well. So I like the dominance, not just one guy, but 2 guys on the podium.
Yeah, just like IAME. The cadet kids at Rock were just as strong. We had Carson Morgan, the Superkarts USA Pro Tour champion, go there instead of Le Mans, and did well. I think he had a couple of heat races that kept him out from the A main, but and did well in the B main. Again, just a solid crop of cadet drivers representing the United States overseas was awesome.
And a nice little candle on top, little exclamation point, was when they did the big prize giving, of course, for the Rock Cup International Final with Zilic and Mars on the podium. None other than Xander Clements being able to introduce them when they were there, because Xander was one of the announcers of the event too, which I think is a really cool addition.
The giggly ginger. I'm trying to come up with a good nickname for him.
Oh no, that's a good one. Hashtag giggly ginger. I'm into that. Yeah, we might have to get a T-shirt.
It's pretty. Yeah, it was pretty cool to see him do that. Now he's going to have that massive giant head of ego next time we see him. Now that he's done that.
You're gonna have to work with him on that, because he may not be able to get to the door when he gets back.
He probably
home.
hasn't. That's probably why he's down in Florida now. Yeah,
so we can live outside
in the elements.
All right, let's move on to actually some really good news in terms of venues. David, you and I always talk about how important it is to have quality racetracks, venues, whatever it may be. We've had some new tracks getting developed. I'll talk more about speed sports when we discuss the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. But a repave up at Road America, the C-Tech Manufacturing Motorplex. They repaved it. I think that's massive.
It is. With it not being touched since the original pavement was laid down in 2000, it's been 17 years. I think it was well over due time for it to come. It doesn't quite have the following that you want to see with it being in Wisconsin, but the track itself is one of the best to drive on. Talking with a lot of drivers that have been on there, we've been there with the WK Manufacturers Cup. You were there, I believe, with Stars of Karting back in the day. Yeah. Rotax Grand Nationals were there in 2006, so it's seen a lot of big events there. And it's kind of nobody's gone back there, mainly because of the pavement being so rough and not very raceable. But now with new pavement being down, I think it's going to be one of the top facilities you want to go to in the next few years.
I could not agree more. I think it's fantastic. I think it was a great event that we had back in the day with Stars of Karting when we first launched the thing. Graham Rahal was racing there. Marco Andretti was on, I think, 100cc Sportsman, like a Yamaha back then. It's a great track, and I'm excited to see that they've raised the bar on it, and I would love to see some major events get up there. It's just such a great place. Road America is it's got that feel. It's just one of the iconic road courses. To have that track inside the Road America track itself, I can't wait to get back there. I hope one of the main series gets back there in 2018 or 2019. Let's move to cap off our top news for this edition of the Debrief podcast. David and I were very honored to be asked by Anderson Promotions and Mazda to select the essentially at-large pick to go to the $200,000 scholarship shootout at Bondurant in December. We were asked to pick the young karter that we thought would best be able to leverage this opportunity, a chance to actually to win. If you win the scholarship, the shootout, you win the $200,000 scholarship to run USF 2000 in 2018, similar to what Oliver Askew won last year. And David, you and I, we had a short list of guys to look at, and we discussed it quite a bit, and we looked at all the boxes that we wanted to get checked. And in the end, you and I decided to get the two-time SuperKarts USA Pro Tour champ, 2016 Super Nationals winner, and the current number one driver in the EKN Tag driver rankings, Jake Craig. He was our selection. I had a chance actually to sit down and chat with him at the Chris Griffith test at Indy last weekend. For me, just amazing to be able to give that opportunity to Jake, because he really has earned it.
Just to be able to give a karter the opportunity, period. It's something that we've seen throughout probably over the last 15, 14 years that I've been involved with e-karting news. We saw it with Stars doing the Skip Barber program. It just kind of has gone away, recognizing some of the top drivers that we have in the sport, and to be able to do that now again is something cool, because now I think the Mazda Road to Indy has really shown that is one of the true ladder systems in motorsports that works. And with the drivers we've seen, especially Joseph Newgarden is a great story for that. And so I think to be able to have a part in that now as a karting media outlet, it's pretty thrilling. But with our selection,
I love
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I love the fact that Mazda and Anderson Promotions, which runs the entire Road to Indy, they decided, hey, they need to connect with karting. They had a good relationship with Max Speed and Rotax for a while. Of course, Max Speed now being gone, they came to us knowing that we were essentially the experts in the field on it. And I think you're right, Dave. It's such a great program. The opportunities we've seen for a kid, like, I still look at Spencer Piggott as being that big opportunity. Spencer being able to go all the way from USF 2000 through Pearl Mazda into Indy Lights and then into an IndyCar ride with so many scholarships won on the way up. There is an opportunity, and we're going to be able to watch a kid like Oliver Askew, who won last year. He wins the scholarship, wins USF 2000. In 2 years, he goes from karting to Pro Mazda. And Pro Mazda's 2 steps away from the Verizon IndyCar Series. So the opportunity by the program itself is fantastic. Now Jake's going to have to go head to head against like 17 Formula Ford or Formula car champions from around the world. That's the shootout. It's going to be tough for him, but he's a talented young guy, and we look forward. I think you and I we'll talk more about it, but just look forward to seeing what he's able to do.
Well, if anything, it's going to help open him some doors. Being part of the shootout, and for all the drivers that are part of the shootout, it gives teams and sponsors the opportunity to see what they're able to do stacked against some of the drivers that are similar to their experience and skill level. So,
agreed, and that will take place at the Bondurant School of High Performance Driving, December 9th and 10th. That's the shootout. So we'll all be waiting on pins and needles to find out how Jake does it in that shootout. He was actually on track, David, as you know, at the Chris Griffiths test, as I mentioned. Jake was actually racing a USF 2000 car on the weekend with Newman Walks Racing, the storied team that came up through the Atlantic Championship and is back on the road to Indy. Ran just Saturday and did very well. Got up to speed. It was funny because, you think of the experience Jake has in karting, running around the world, winning races. It's only really his 6th day ever at a car. And the funniest thing was, when I talked to him at the track at lunchtime, he just said, I've never gone that fast in my life. 140 miles an hour on the front straightaway. He said, I just have to get used to the speed and how fast things are happening. And he did, made some adjustments for the 2 afternoon sessions and ended up with the 5th fastest time of the day, which I thought was absolutely remarkable.
Well, I think Indy is a great place for drivers to go there because when you look at it, I've never driven it, so I'm not sure. But you look at it, it's more of a flowing track. It's not like a street circuit where they're going like Toronto or Long Beach or something like that, where it's nice flowing type track where they can ease themselves into the proper pace that they should be at within a car.
Yeah, significant runoff in many areas, which is great. But like you said, there's a lot of rhythm sections that allow these drivers to really work it. Plus, they get a chance to, they're rolling high speed, hard braking zones, which is important. Some important transitions, the sweeper onto the front straight. So it's a great racetrack for those drivers to learn on. And you're right, and it really was karting invasion for this particular test. In USF 2000, names that we've been talking about and covering on eKarting News for the last many years, Sabre Cook was there, Zoe Edenholm was there, Michael D'Orlando, coming off his European adventure, will now move straight into the road to Indy. Elliot Finlayson, Top Carter, coming off a runoffs win in Formula E. Miles Rowe, Darren Keene, of course, was very good. In fact, Keene had the fastest lap in USF 2000. Max Peichel was there. David Osborne, who comes through the Trinity karting group. Of course, Parker Thompson and Jason Clooney, all guys we've seen run at Super Nationals, run races around the world as well. So amazing in USF 2000. You go to Pro Mazda, Stingray Robb, Oliver Askew, Calvin Ming, David Malukas, Caleb Frederick, Parker Thompson again, and then of course up into Indy Lights with Pato Award, Victor Franzoni, and Colton Herta. It's and Aaron Telitz as well. So Telitz was there. He actually jumped behind the wheel of an F2000 car, and I think a Pro Mazda car as well. But he'll very likely be back in Indy Lights. But David, the road to Indy is amazing. We watch these young drivers come through, go to the IndyCar program. But for you and I, we've seen these kids start in karting. And it's amazing to see them all kind of getting themselves onto the ladder.
What's since you were there, and the Pro Mazda being the new car, what did you think of it firsthand?
Well, first, it just sounds awesome. Like it absolutely rips. Now, it's a proper race car. Every driver I talk to, this thing is unbelievable. It's got lots of mechanical grip. Downforce levels are awesome. The motor just absolutely rips. It ended up being 4 seconds faster than the pole time in Pro Mazda on the Indy Road Course from back in May. This thing is bad fast, and from what most of the drivers are saying, it's going to be an even better training vehicle for the guys that want to go to Indy Lights.
Well, that's good to hear because that's how a progression ladder should be. Every little bit. That's why I wonder. We're seeing some drivers wanting to step up before they're even in the senior categories, and I'm just questioning like. Back when I first started with the website, it was a lot of these shifter guys that were going on in a car. So where you drive a shifter, you kind of have more of a sense of car control. Can you get that going from a Tag Junior to, say, a USF 2000 car? Do you really have enough experience to do that?
my personal experience and my personal opinion on it is that I'd like to see drivers stay for at least 1 or even 2 years in senior karting. I just think that there's such a great level of competition that you learn running senior karting. You evolve as a driver, better racecraft, you mature a little bit. I don't think it matters when you get into cars. It's all talent and business anyways. You have to be able to find the money to be able to make the move up the steps. You got to learn how to find sponsorship, deal with sponsorship. It doesn't matter if you're 15 years old or 19 years old. You got kids coming in to USF 2000 that are 15, and then you've got Jake Craig at 20 years of age, just turned 20. You got Jake coming in at 20. Same thing with Oliver Askew. At 19, there's an opportunity. It's exactly the same. You have to get the job done on the track. I don't care if you're 15 or 19. You could be 25 and go to USF 2000. If you can find the money, find the backing, and be talented, you're going to go to IndyCar. So I just would love to see guys stay longer in karting. I think there's so much more to learn. That's just my opinion.
What does your opinion matter?
Speaking of that, listen, while I was down there, which is awesome, we'll cut to a commercial here soon as we head on into the racing recap. But to cap things off, I did have a chance to sit down and talk to Jake Craig. Jake, obviously, one of our favorites, Dave. You and I have been watching him, come up through the junior ranks. Really, for the last number, he's been, was number one in 14, was number one in 2015. He's our number one again now. Just a talented driver, and I did have a chance to sit down and talk with him while we were at Indianapolis. Here's the interview that I did with Jake. So, Jake, of course, great to be here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's start with a quick chat. First off, congratulations. We were pleased, of course, to be able to give you the selection to go to the Mazda Road to Indy $200,000 scholarship shootout. Big for you. I know you've been doing some testing with Newman Walks Racing coming in, so you are prepared. You're our number one ranked driver in the tag rankings now, so it kind of played well for you. Just first off, your thoughts on getting that selection to get a chance to go to the shootout.
Well, first off, I can't thank you guys enough. It's kind of surreal because it could be a career-changing thing for me. I'm working really hard to do the USF 2000 series next year, but nothing's set 100%, so that would really guarantee it if I would be lucky enough to win that. So it could be a big deal.
You've really been at your top of your game, and I guess as a sport as well. You were number one in 14 and 15, and you're currently number one right now. What has it been that's been allowed you to kind of, or maybe motivated you to look to go to cars now at 19 years of age? You'll be 20 next week. What is it that now has made you make the move?
I've just kind of been able to get a little bit of a relationship with the team finally. I haven't really known any of the teams, and I kind of got in contact with Brian. So yeah, that allowed me to kind of get in the car, then learn everything, and I feel like I'm at my peak right now. So I think now is the best time to do it.
I know you speak of Brian Hallahan from Newman Walks Racing, and talks I've had with Brian. He's unbelievably happy with you, would love to have you in the car. Very high on the skill set you've been able to bring, the transition you've made to cars, from karts to cars. Now let's think about your thoughts this weekend. You got one day in the car here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I know all the karters listening to the podcast will be wondering what your thoughts are. What was it like first time down the straightaway at 140 miles an hour?
It's just so crazy because you see the grandstands, you see the bricks on the straightaway. It's the coolest feeling in the world.
Thoughts on 2018? Let's first off, thoughts on the shootout. Have you thought about it at all yet? You found out, I told you on Thursday, we announced it on Friday, you're in the car on Saturday, so you probably really haven't had a lot of time to think about and prepare even for the shootout whatsoever.
Yeah, now I haven't really had time to process everything yet. Now I just need to figure out how I can best prepare myself to give myself the best chance at winning the shootout.
So what about karting? Are we looking forward to the Super National still?
Yeah, I'm so excited to try and defend my title again.
Hey, congratulations on a great weekend. You impressed a lot of people here yesterday. P5 at the end of the day, I believe. You found speed in all four sessions. I know the guys at Newman Walks are happy. Congratulations on that for sure. Congratulations on the selection.
Thank you very much.
I'll tell you, David, just a quality young man and focused. The guys from Newman Walks absolutely love him. A lot of teams met him in the paddock as well. Even if he doesn't win the scholarship, I think there's a good shot that Jake could be in USF 2000 next year. But I was very proud being there with him and how he impressed everybody. I think he's a great selection for us.
Well, like you said, he's definitely grown over the last few years that we've been following him.
Yeah.
he was that quiet kid that just graduated to the senior ranks, and he's gotten a little bit more comfortable with communicating and like you said, working with teams. So it'll be cool to see what he can do with his future.
Well, folks, those are the top news stories we brought to you here on the 10th edition of this EKN Debrief. Of course, this show being presented by CRG Nordam. After this break, we'll be back with the racing recap. In the world of cadet karting, there's an explosive new force on the track, Nitro Kart. Nitro Kart was founded by champion karter Nitro Nick Tucker with a sole focus on youth karting and specifically the cadet ranks. Nick has applied his years of racing experience to develop the absolute best cadet chassis on the market with the support to back it up. Nitro Kart drivers have already scored an impressive number of victories in major events around the country this year, including the SCUSA Pro Tour, Rotax Grand Nationals, Florida Winter Tour, WKA Winter Cup and Man Cup, USPKS, and Gear Up F-Series. The Team Nitro Kart Factory team attends all major national series and offers arrive and drives, tent support, driver coaching, data collaboration, and transport and tuning for the country's best up-and-coming drivers. Nitro Kart currently has a few prime spots left for the SCUSA Supernats in Las Vegas, and partial scholarships are available for highly qualified drivers. If you're looking for the best cadet kart in the sport, look at Nitro Kart. Designed by winners, raced by winners, Nitro Kart. Race one or chase one. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Episode number 10 of the EKN Debrief, part of the EKN Radio Network. Rob Howden alongside David Cole. Moving now into the racing recap, brought to you this particular episode by Kart Sport North America. Check them out at www.kartsportna.com. David, I made a trek. We did double duty. It was essentially two guys, two tracks. I was down in Houston. New Caney, actually, a little bit north of Houston, for the Texas Pro Kart Challenge finale at Alan Rudolph's new Speed Sports Racing Park. Let's just start first and foremost. Wow, pretty nice little facility that Alan's put together there. The dual tracks, rental carts were going while we were racing on the other side. This place, of course, just getting rolling. There's going to be a lot of development around it, but the track itself, they did a fantastic job. It's a physical racetrack, 0.8 of a mile, 15 corners, beat the drivers up pretty good. But a ton of great overtaking opportunities, Dave. Just a great track.
Well, I think that was always one of the main focuses of Alan Rudolph, who designed this racetrack, was overtaking. You always want to be on a racetrack where you don't have to force something. There's just plenty of opportunities for you to do it, depending on your position on track with the other drivers. So there was no doubt that the track that Alan designed was going to be a great racetrack itself, but I think the star of the weekend was the tower. It's got to be the tower, right?
Howden's Tower. I was pretty choked up a little bit. That was really cool. Alan, of course, when he was designing the track, had called me and said, "Hey, listen, we want your input on where do you want the tower? What do you want included in it?" And because you and I have been in so many announcers' booths or timing towers around the country and around the world, for that matter, I just gave him some of the input that I would like to see in terms of my visibility, where getting me to the right place at the right time, and it worked out really cool. And of course, he, again, as you said, he had Howden's Tower on the door. I thought that was pretty cool.
One more question before we get into the event itself.
Go.
How many photos of Alan with his helmet off are there around the facility?
I don't know. Is that just for the hair? Or
He's
what?
got the perfect hair. Come on.
He does have pro hair. He does. You know what? How many years have we done this? You and I put our helmets on, race, take the helmet off. It's sweaty and your hair's a mess. They call it helmet hair for a reason. He puts the helmet on and brings it back. It's exactly the same. I have to believe that the inside of his helmet, he molds it exactly like his hair. Like a poured seat in a Formula car.
I like that.
It's a custom.
I like that.
It's a custom hair insert, I think.
Okay.
He did a great job. He's ageless. He looks like he's 25 still.
Yeah, we won't say how old he really is.
No, we won't. We won't bring that up. Although I will say that his son Aiden thought I was younger than he was.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was pretty big. I enjoyed that part. Big weekend down there. This series made the move from Rotax and SCUSA to just SCUSA here in 2017. Of course, that's a big move. Rotax, of course, having their issues and have essentially fallen off the face of the earth in terms of national and for the most part, regional racing as well. There are some areas where Rotax, of course, still well supported. But in Texas, these guys went straight SCUSA, straight IAME, and stock Honda. So they've been gathering momentum. Not quite their biggest race. Their biggest race of the year was earlier. 79 entries, 79 drivers, double round weekend. But Dave, and this I think shows the growth, 23 drivers in that mini Swift class and lots of talent. And as the guy on the microphone, I was going crazy. The racing was ridiculously good in the mini Swift class. I mean, it was just tons of fun to watch. They had 23 guys, I think, in their stock Honda race group. Of course, S1, S2, S3, S4. The badass deal was, Dave, this place, it's probably not a more competitive place to race in terms of who you have to race against, because they have Texas Pro Kart Challenge boasts the number one plate holder in S1, Jake French, number one plate holder in S2, Riley Dickinson, number one plate holder in S4, Jordan Musser. All in the same racetrack. At one point in one of the heats, they finished first, second, and third. You go down there, you can beat them, you've done something.
Yeah, you definitely have to be on your game if you want to race a shifter kart in Texas. That's for sure. We've known that for a long time.
You know what? You're right. You go back all the way to the Colin Lynn, Kyle Martin, Gary Glanger days. Trevor McAllister days. There's a lot of. They've always had great drivers down in Texas.
Yeah, you throw the Oklahoma boys in too as well. So,
yeah, exactly. Great racing. French and Riley Dickinson battled it out for essentially the overall. They both won their Saturday and Sunday races in S1 and S2. Dickinson was challenged by Blair Hosey on the Alpha Kart. I was really impressed with Blair. He showed great speed all weekend long, finished second on Saturday, then I think fourth, I believe, on Sunday. Chris Jennings wasn't feeling well. Neither was Ryan Kinnear over the weekend. Chris able to get the win on Saturday. In fact, didn't even come to podium. He just wasn't feeling well. Great racing, though, in the stock Honda class. X30, three guys up front battling it out. Brett Mitchell actually scored the championship with a dominant run on Saturday. But he, David Lavia, and Max Hewitt got into a scrap all day Sunday. Lavia ended up with the win. I don't think he was the fastest guy on the racetrack, but he did not make a mistake. Hit every apex, every exit. They just couldn't get around him. He was just that clean. Hewitt ended up finishing second and Mitchell in third on Sunday. X30 Junior, Ethan Arndt, able to sweep the weekend and the championship. He had a great run all weekend long. Emiliana Richards was quick as well, but had some issues with blocking, I believe, on Saturday, and then blew up a motor on Sunday. The Mini Swift race was the one that was fun to watch. John Burke wins on Saturday over Chase Gardner, gets himself in the championship battle, goes into the main event on Sunday, having already won. I believe he swept qualifying and the other races, the heat races, and then can't get off the grid. An issue coming off the grid. Couldn't get it fired. Red flag. Got it refired, but came back on during a red flag. He worked on the car during a red flag, so he got DQ'd. Tough for Burke, but Chase Gardner stepped up, scored the win, and got the championship. Micro Swift Santiago Duran with a double weekend. It was just great to be down there in Texas. Dave, there's a lot of momentum, a lot of excitement. You got some great racing teams. You got some great shops down there that are supporting it. They're going to go to 4 races next year. I see growth for that series, and I see a lot of momentum for the series that Gina French is running. Good crew of staff down there as well. A lot of passionate people.
Well, and it's good to have the facilities that they do. They have Allen's Track, they have Dallas Karting Complex, they have Caddy down in southern part of Houston. Possibly maybe a new track in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, well, you and I were just watching on Facebook Live, Jake French testing at Circuit of the Americas. I think most people have seen the fact they built a kart track just on the other side of the front straightaway in Austin. It remains to be seen whether or not they're going to be able to put a race there. We saw Jake French out there testing. That's maybe.
But the thing about having all these tracks is that if the grassroots level is doing what it's doing, it's going to develop even more drivers into the program.
Well, this is the key, right? There's a couple different programs. SCUSA, that Texas Pro Kart Challenge series is what it is, right? It's an upper level series, guys that are trying to race against top drivers in 2-cycle machinery, potentially going to go to national racing. There's also the Texas Sprint Series, which is the more 4-cycle series, which I think is awesome. That's what you need. You need to have a good Briggs & Stratton 206 series that'll go to Katy, that'll go to Denton, that'll go to Hill Country, some of the smaller tracks in Texas, because there are different levels of facilities in Texas. And those having club racing, those two kind of unique and different regional series really is perfect, to be honest. Hopefully they can work together and kind of play nice, because if they could, Texas could really start to solidify here in 2018.
Everything's big in Texas, right?
It is, buddy. It is. Let's, like I said, it was double duty. I was down, I was going to say I was down in the sweltering heat of Texas. It was 95% humidity and like 65 or 70 degrees in the morning. Got up to like 85, almost 90. It was pretty much 72, 75 in the Howden's Tower in the air conditioning, so I'm not going to bitch at all. You, however, were at the Manufacturers Cup race at GoPro.
Yes, GoPro celebrating its fifth season being open, or fifth year being open.
Isn't that wild? That's wild.
It's crazy to see that it's come that fast. I mean, it's like a kid. Yeah. I remember being there the day they built the scoring tower, so we can get in there and actually score the race and call the race from the tower. But yeah, weather was actually pretty perfect. Other than rain Friday, kind of held things up a little bit, made things damp. So it kind of delayed people going out for practice until it dried up. But the rest of the weekend, other than a little fog, was pretty perfect, actually. Not too warm, not too cold type weather. It was the third largest turnout that we saw on the season, with it being the finale and the Grand National as it was. So it kind of helps draw in more people. Track actually draws in more people. I would think, I almost want to say a third of the entries were local drivers, or at least drivers who had not been to a WKA race on the season. So which is a large percentage, something you want to see at every event you go to, but it certainly helps bring the total up. Something unique about the event was the tire. Bridgestone had some issues bringing in the YLC tires and the YLM, so they decided to go with the new Y and B tire for all the senior and junior categories on the weekend, including Briggs and KA100. To help with that, they gave away free sets of tires. As long as you had one of the old tires wrapped, already sealed, not opened, unopened type program, you were able to trade those in. But with anybody who entered, you got free sets of tires. So it was something unique. But something that I guess Bridgestone had to do with the way the tire supply was at. So it gave a chance for drivers to get used to the new tire, which is going to be used next for 2018. Talking to a lot of different people, they said it was a little bit different sidewall. So it was something that it wasn't so much chassis changing, but more tire pressure type change. How much you want to go up, how much you want to go down, and depending on the conditions of the racetrack. So, and also GoPro isn't really hard on tires. So, we'll see what happens in the summer when it gets hotter and it starts to want to eat up the tires at different places, depending on what tracks we're at for next year. On track results, Brendan Lemke and Austin Garrison were able to run away in IAME Senior. Lemke took Saturday's victory handedly, and Garrison was able to get away from the rest of the field on Sunday. So those two were dominant in their victories. Dakota Pesic won both Yamaha finals, so he was able to lock up the championship in that category. Some of the best racing we had all weekend long, and I think all season long, was in the Yamaha junior category. And we're talking, this was the largest class that we had all season long. I think it almost averaged 20 entries throughout the year. And it was just, people keep complaining about how the Yamaha is, there's no parity. You have to have a perfect engine, this and that. Well, the Yamaha junior class, I guess everybody has a perfect engine, because it was almost anybody could win this race. It all had to do with drivers making the right move or drivers not making stupid moves, and large packs for the lead all season long, Newcastle included, especially with the draft packs there. But GoPro was like a low holds barred, like 9-round type fight that it was fun to watch. And it wasn't any dirty racing, wasn't any aggressive moves that shouldn't have been made. It was good racing to watch, and I loved watching it, so it was fun. But really,
love that.
Kind of the story of the event was the girl power. We had a lot of female drivers stand up and take victories on the weekend. Gray Ledbetter in IME Junior was one, and Annie Rule in the IME or the Pro Swift Sportsman class, both earning their first WK victories. Ashley Ruggiero was there. She was one of the top drivers in the IME Senior class. Sofia Diarigo for Nitro Kart. She was a top driver in the Micro Swift category. So there's a lot of female drivers out there, and it's good to see these four step up and land on the podium this weekend. And it's just good to continue to see the female drivers coming in karting more and more and more.
I like it. A lot of conversation happening now, David, in the motorsports world about women in motorsports. There was I believe a promoter in Europe that was thinking about trying to do a female only series, and of course all the female drivers stepped up and said, no, that's not what we want. We're race car drivers. The car doesn't know if it's a guy or a girl driving. We want to be on equal playing field, which I love. And I think we talk about it all the time. The kart doesn't know who's driving it. Doesn't know how old you are. Doesn't know if you're a guy. Doesn't know if you're a girl. Doesn't even matter. All it knows is that if you put the right input in, it's going to be fast. And I think what we're seeing now, I just think we're seeing more girls want to come out and race. And the more we have, the more that are going to be able to do well. And it's to see Gray and Annie do so well. That's awesome. I think that drivers like Ashley Rohera were kind of, they kind of broke through the cloud. They were the ones that kind of set the pace, kind of paved the road early, at least in this newer generation. Sabre Cook won races. Ashley Rohera was winning. And it's exciting to see. And I think there's a bunch of great young girl drivers who are benefiting from this, like you mentioned earlier in the episode, Dave, from this really solid big field, big pack, hardcore racing we're seeing on the national level. When we're bringing the micros and minis up, they're having to race hard. And they're just developing as better drivers. I'm liking what we're seeing. I think we're going to see, again, like we saw with Ashley and with Sabra, we're going to see some of these young female drivers start winning in the senior categories as well.
Annie being a cadet driver, Sophia being younger than she is, they still have plenty of time to develop as drivers. And the great thing about them is they got great personalities, which is no matter if you're male or female, you got to have in motorsports. You can't, talent alone is not just going to cut it along. So Gray has been doing a lot of different things other than karting. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her maybe in a year or two doing something else.
Well, interesting stuff. There you have it, folks. That is the racing recap. David and I giving you some insight into our trips to Texas for the Pro Kart Challenge and to Mooresville for the WK Manufacturers Cup Series. Stick with us. On the other side of this break, we're going to come back with Operation Grassroots. Hey, just so you know, it's not too late to start thinking about Christmas presents. In fact, it's probably the perfect time to buy EKN gear and sock it away for December. We'll have Heidi Welk and our EKN Trackside store at a few races this year, but you can always go online to order something for your favorite karter. You've seen our EKN clothing in the paddock, so get some for yourself. And it's all perfect for back to school as well. We have an awesome lineup: hats, t-shirts, and sweatshirts. Cool clothing for babies and toddlers to get them started on the right path early. We even have can koozies for bench racing in the paddock or the garage. And you can get everything you're looking for at ekartingnews.com/store. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's 40 minutes into this deal, maybe a little bit more. Great to have you with us. Rob Howard alongside David Cole, another edition of the EKN Debrief podcast. A lot of new podcasts coming down the pipe. Get ready. We're as we roll through into the off season and of course into 2018. David and I will be pulling the trigger on the full EKN radio network. A lot of great stuff that we're going to be rolling out for 2018. We're both very excited. Let's move now into Operation Grassroots. Just a single bit of news we want to hit on, but it's some cool stuff. Operation Grassroots presented by our good friends at Briggs Racing. David Cole, I think this year's been exciting, and you've been a part of it because you've raced it. I've driven one. The Margay Ignite program is really doing some pretty amazing things in the Midwest. We've seen it really help revive the Rock Island Grand Prix, bringing a lot of interest and injecting a lot of excitement, a lot of drivers, a lot of entries. it's really doing some great stuff around the St. Louis area as well. Of course, the new Ignite Challenge, 5 tracks, I believe, in that region running the Spec Ignite program. They've got the junior level, the cadet level. It's growing. But pretty cool little addition. It will now, the Margay Ignite Dash at Daytona being added to the WKA Kart Week. Talk about it a little bit. I know you know all about it. It's pretty exciting to see that Ignite program getting supported up there in Daytona.
Well, kind of going off the success that they've had at Rock Island and now the battle at the Brickyard in Indy, they're able to work with WK on bringing the same type of program down to Daytona for Daytona Kart Week. We've seen the Briggs 206 class be offered at Daytona the last 2 years, and it had over 40 plus, and I think just over 30 last year in terms of entries. WK decided to go along with this program with the Briggs 206 class not being offered anymore on the Manufacturers Cup level. So this,
Dave, you and I talked about it, how the 206 just didn't get, it got great numbers in Daytona, but then it just fell off throughout the season of Manufacturers Cup. If 206 drivers didn't want to run Man Cup, do something different, right?
Well, and that's what they've done, and I kind of wrote about that in my From the Tower. They've gone to the KA 100. So now the Man Cup is strictly 2-cycle, and the Margay Ignite program is now a local option type class where it's just running Daytona and that's it. And with Margay being a longtime supporter of the Daytona weekend down there, I think it was kind of a win-win type deal where Margay gets to go down there and offer this type of program that nobody has ever been able to do at Daytona. So I think it's going to get a lot of different. It's obviously going to get their racers down there, but I think it'll get some, again, like Indy and Rock Island has done, guys who just don't want to haul their stuff down or just want to try it one time, and it's affordable. It's not very expensive. Looking at the prices to go to Walt Disney World, it's about the same kind of price to go do that for 3 days of fun. So.
The beauty for me is I've had conversations with guys about this. So the Ignite program, the challenge is at Rock Island. It's at the Battle of the Brickyard. Now it's at Daytona. What an awesome way to do that bucket list check of some of the tracks and events you want to go to. You're a West Coaster, you're Pacific Northwest or Canadian. Fly down, arrive and drive. You can arrive and drive at the Speedway at Indianapolis. You can arrive and drive at Daytona, arrive and drive at Rock Island. I love the fact that it's just the perfect arrive and drive opportunity for someone who maybe has never gone to Daytona between Christmas and New Year's for Kart Week. I think it's just you fly down, get a hotel, enjoy yourself. It's just so easy.
And it's not a stressful weekend. With the spec package being the same chassis, same engine, same clutch, there's no stress on trying to find the right setup, because really out of the box, the Ignite, they're all the same. There's not much you have to change to it in order for it to work. Some guys try different this, different that. You can do that all you want, but really, to be honest, you pull the ripcord to start it. You pull in, you shut it off, and you go sit and watch the rest of the racing until your time is up. Really, you just check the tire pressure and make sure fuel's in it, lube up the chain, and you go back out. There's just not a lot you have to do. So it provides a more stress-free type atmosphere. A stress-free type atmosphere for yourself as a driver.
I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be. I would not be surprised to see 30-plus guys go down and be in that program. I'm not sure if they're going to lock it down on a certain amount of numbers they can service, but I think it's going to be exciting. Dave, let's go into the stretch run here. White flag being thrown here at start-finish. The racing calendar presented by Trinity Karting Group. Trinity Karting Group is the newest race team to hit the national racing circuit, and they have been a player all year in the WK Manufacturers Cup and the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour. The team is excited to head to their first SCUSA Super Nationals in November, and they still have a single arrive and drive seat available for X30 Junior, Senior, or Masters drivers. If you're looking to join a professional outfit in Las Vegas, call Sean Bailiff at 514-767-4463. Trinity Karting Group, the presenter of our racing calendar for this episode. David, I'm thrilled to see that they were able to get 40 entries into the Briggs Endurance Race at Newcastle. I did not want to see this happen again and to see it go by the way of the RoboPonk 200, but nice to see that they were able to get that program set to go for October 27th.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a race that eventually we'll be able to get to go to and race, kind of like we said with the RoboPonk. But I think this one's more realistic.
You and me and you?
We just have to make sure we're on the same weight
next
page.
year. You know what? You're going to have to lose some weight to get down to my level, buddy. Texas Sprint Series running that weekend as well. That's October 27th, 28th, 29th. First week of November, the 3rd, 4th, 5th is the weekend. Round 9 of Sanzaru Games Karting Championship at Sonoma Raceway. November 4th to the 11th, not here in North American home soil, but Portimao, Portugal, the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. Big crew from Team USA, big crew from Team Canada heading over there. Of course, we'll keep our eye on them the week before we kind of get things rolling for the Super Nats. But again, Grand Finals, Portimao, Portugal. David, you and I went there. Great racetrack. Exciting.
2012, I believe, was the year we were there. I believe they've went back there before, and I think this is the third time that they've gone there. Great town. Lots of different food options for a picky eater like myself and for you. And
we'll just make sure to keep you away from the party at the end of the weekend.
Yes. I was gonna say, have you seen the gear that K1 Race Gear is providing for Team USA? That stuff is sharp.
K1, the crew over there, K1 Race Gear, they know how to get it done, do they not? Man, everything that they kick out is so awesome. I love that's. Again, kudos to K1.
And they keep sticking with the white base uniform, which kind of helps keep the Team USA stuck out and bright, but it just the cleaning the suit type deal thing afterwards. Oh, that's got to be a pain in the ass.
For the rain, no doubt about it. Okay, capping off the racing calendar. Really, essentially, the final race of the year that we're even going to talk about, David. And we're going to finish off this podcast. I don't think there'll be enough. Well, maybe we'll try to sneak one in next weekend. I don't know. Well, maybe we'll do a preview of this particular event. Because 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th of November, the 21st running of the SuperKarts USA Super Nationals. Amazing event. 20th, actually, anniversary for what we do here at Howden Media Group. We launched Shifter Card Illustrated magazine at the second ever Super Nationals, and we've been going ever since. Of course, I've been at all of them, but the magazine itself starting in 1998. But David, 21st edition, Las Vegas, new parking lot, huge numbers again. We'll see if we get to the 500. I don't know if we'll get to the 500 mark again. That just seemed to maybe just a little bit of an oddity, but man, can't wait. Super Nationals, 2-3 weeks, just over 2 weeks away. Nuts.
Looking forward to it. The new parking lot area, it will definitely throw a different, kind of like the new atmosphere to it. Even though we're still going to be at the Westgate, we're still at the Las Vegas Convention Center. It'll still have that new type element, and especially being on the Las Vegas Strip for the first time.
Brand new track.
People walking by will be able to actually see, depending on how the fencing is done, but they'll be able to see what the Super Nationals is all about. And hopefully, depending on the type of proper signage and stuff like that, maybe they'll be able to come in and watch, come in and look, come in and learn what the sport is all about.
Yeah, we'll see how they're able to put everything together. Brand new track, as I was going to mention there, again, bringing in Bonner Moulton and Howie Idelson helped this year from Wesley Boswell as well. The track, they've put the layout out there. Looks pretty cool. Opening corner nice and wide and fast again, so we're not going to get those crashes in the opening corner into a bunch of hairpins, which I think is really cool. Should let the field kind of settle in. You can't block, otherwise you're going to lose exit. We'll see. Second time for Bonner Howie building a track. Again, input from Wesley. That second time, hopefully they'll have been able to correct the errors they believe they made from last year. I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We're kind of getting provisional entry lists, kind of seeing what's going on with it. There'll be some interesting names that we see on the entry list in certain categories. I think we need to do like a little long range preview podcast next week. How about? I think you and I'll just kind of
gab about it. Go through some numbers, talk about the event. I like that idea. What about you? You into that?
Yeah, we might be able to swing that around.
I think the EKN readers and listeners like to hear that.
Yeah, because we're going to start the previews next week. I'm not sure which day we're going to start. I got to work that on the calendar. But entry,
folks, just so you know, folks, this is not. We have no races for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. This is not a downtime for David Cole.
No,
this could be probably one of your busier times.
It is. The next month is going to be my busiest time. So starting now,
yeah,
until Monday when I'm in my bed after Supernets.
You'll get a
because
couple
Tuesday. Well,
days off
Tuesday will be
but
busy, but I'll call in sick on Wednesday because Thursday and Friday are Thanksgiving.
How about I just give you Wednesday off? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I'm going to call in.
You feel free.
All right.
Feel free. Yeah, and I'm hammering down because just to remind everyone, we're doing EKN Live. It's going to be exciting. We'll have our full live broadcast. We'll do a little bit of stuff on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, full play-by-play on the EKN Live program. We'll be announcing our broadcast partners very soon. Again, I got to go to work getting that put together. We got a lot of great partners from last year that I expect to be back on board with us. We got to do commercials. It's just going to be. We're going to do some new stuff too, Dave. I think we'll pull a little video out, have some fun with some video potentially, some interviews, maybe some commentary post race, post day. We're gonna have some fun down there in Vegas, and to keep you happy, and me happy too. Little In-N-Out burger.
I will be there before you're even landing in Vegas. So
true. We're gonna hit that pizza place again.
Yes,
that place was badass.
Pizza place. I forgot about that.
Right
When it was
Remember
windy Wednesday night or whatever it was.
Awesome.
That was. But yeah, getting to your coverage.
Awesome.
Thursday night's qualifying, I believe. Correct. Or Thursday
I
at
believe
the
so.
end.
Yeah,
Thursday at the
final,
end for each race.
Yeah.
Morning groups and
morning and yeah. We'll get qualifying done on Thursday as the last session on Thursday. That way, everybody rolls right into the heat races on Friday. So yeah, you're right, Dave. We will be live on EKN for those two different shows on Thursday as well. Maybe even coming in a little bit early with some interviews and some stuff. I just kind of want to step up the game a little bit. We're excited about what's going to happen. Of course, Todd McCall from On Track Promotions will be there as well. I don't know how many years he's been the official photographer, works so well with Supercarts USA. The images he provides us and all the other media. Todd, just an absolute pro. He'll be down there to capture the images of the event. Of course, Wyatt Lloyd will be there. Chris Ortenberger down there with social media. Wyatt doing some video. CBS Sports Network as well, David. It's going to be live. This one, not live. It's going to be back on CBS Sports Network. So, big time. Super Nats. November 15th to 19th to essentially cap off the 2018 season.
You're way ahead of yourself right now.
I got 18. Well, you know what? When we're working with all these schedules nowadays, all I'm talking about is 18. This schedule, IndyCar schedule, guys
What's
that are
the
going to
name
be running
of the Pro
IndyCar in
Mazda
18. Guys are PM 18. Damn it, that's doing it too. How many times I've written PM 18 in the last little while? Crazy. Excited for next year, of course, for the Mazda Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. eKartingNews.com is going to be working a lot closer with that program. We're going to be doing some progression articles on the young karters we're watching move their way up the ranks, which is exciting. I've got a cool program that we're going to bring from the IndyCar program back to EKN as well, all about karting, which is good. Dave, just lots of great stuff happening, and I know, essentially, as you said, it's time to drop the hammer on the Super Nats. A lot of work to be done over the next couple of weeks. Final thoughts?
Looking forward to it.
No doubt about it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us here on episode number 10. Again, something that's going to be a lot more frequent as we head into 2018, David. We do want to thank our sponsors who stepped up and were our broadcast partners here. And again, our partners with us on eKartingNews.com. We could not do what we do without the great companies that support us and work with us. This particular episode, CRG Nordam, Kart Sport North America, Briggs Racing, and Trinity Karting Group. On behalf of David Cole, folks, this has been Rob Howden, another edition of the EKN Debrief Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Down the road, ladies and gentlemen, Super Nats on the horizon. November 15th to 19th in Las Vegas. We'll be there. EKN Live. Join us.